When you specify permissions for a file or for a directory, remember that you have three different columns. You have a column for the user, a column for the group, and a column for other users. And this corresponds to this. The first important thing that you must take in account is that only one set of permissions will apply. So for example, imagine that you have read permissions for users, write permissions. I will separate this, okay? Write permissions for or execute permissions, better, execute permissions for group and read permissions for others. And the file belongs to your user and to your group. It doesn't mean that it will apply the read permission and the execute permission. It will apply only one set. So either you will have read permissions, execute permissions, or write permissions. This will be better with write permissions. Write permissions in this case. The different columns doesn't combine, and different columns don't combine to form a new set of permissions. You only apply one column. Other important thing that you must know when trying to apply permission is that it's not your user who is accessing the permission. It's a process. Remember that a process is a program that is running into the CPU. Your user will launch a program, and the program will try to access the file. And the credentials that the system will take in account when trying to to check the permissions of this file or this directory are not your credentials, but the process credentials. So in some cases, usually your process usually has have the same credentials as you, but in some cases that can change. For example, you can start if your user is has the ID 1000, maybe you can in some cases you can launch a process with a different user identification, and then the permissions will be checked with this user, the process user, not your user. That is very, very important. Which set of permissions will be applied? The rules are: if the process trying to access the file has the same user identification as the owner of the file, then the first set of permission will be applied. That means that if you try to access the file, then this set of permissions will be applied. And remember that only one set of permission applies. So in this case, you will have read access, but you won't have execute access or write access. Only one set is applied. If that is not the case, then the operating system will check if the process it has a main group, a group ID, and a list of supplementary groups. Then the operating system will check if the group, remember that this is a group, this is not a user, if the process belongs to this group, either the main group or the supplementary groups, then the second set of permissions will be applied. So for example, if I change the group of this file, okay, if a user, if or that a user who belongs to ADM group tries to access this file, but that user should not be me, should not be user, because if not, the first set of permission will apply. If a user who belongs to ADM try to access, then the second set will apply. And in this case, um, he or she will have read and write permission, the second set. And remember the permissions, you apply only one set of permissions. And if the process is, is not a process of the owner of the file and doesn't belong to the group, then the third set of permission is applied. So those are the rules. The rules. First, check the user. Second, check the group. And third, if both checks fail, then it will apply the third set of permissions.